Hail and welcome, Kane Dreamwalker here, and I am your friendly neighborhood spirit worker. So, since this is my first TikTok video, I wanted to take a moment and just explain what the spirit worker even do. I'm a healer at my core, and I'm heavily informed by animism and what I refer to as tribal shamanism or ancient shamanism. Sometimes spirit workers are called New Age or New Wave shamans, and I don't love that because I'm a white dude in 2023 and I live in America, and nothing about my life is like an indigenous person's. So I don't really feel comfortable with grabbing a hold of a indigenous title like shaman. Instead, I just try to learn from and dig out what I refer to as universal truths that have been accumulated over thousands of years of experience that these incredible cultures have between them all. And then I very respectfully find ways to compare that or incorporate that into the way I experience the universe. Now, what I do is serve as a bridge or ambassador between the spirit world and the physical world and bring those two realms together in a way that promotes peace and harmony and healing and growth. And I can do that in lots of different ways, like divination or healing work or just sharing my knowledge with others so that it makes it easier for them to interface with and connect to spirit in their own practices, which I hope to be able to do for you with these videos. So thanks for stopping in, and tune in for the next video, which I'm going to discuss what are the fundamentals required to being a spirit worker. Take care. Hail and welcome. Kane Dreamwalker here, and today we are going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals of what it takes to be a spirit worker. I like to teach that using the 4 C's because I am very dorky, obviously. The first of those is compassion. This is healing work, right? So it requires being able to provide a safe and gentle container of compassion so that someone can feel comfortable and secure in being vulnerable enough to share their pain with you in that moment. The next is connectedness. Spirit illness can be kind of tricky sometimes, and understanding the root cause of it requires being able to zoom out and connect dots that may seem like a constellation of stars forever away from each other in order to be able to see and understand the true cause of what's going on. Then there's creativity. Creativity fuels all magic. Spirit work is no exception. And our first and biggest, most important tool that we have is the ability to basically hallucinate on command so that we can see and experience the physical world and the spiritual world at the same time. And that requires being able to kind of think outside the box a little bit and a little bit of like solid comfort with your own sanity, even though I don't have a lot of it. But truly, you have to be creative in order to open your mind, in order to open yourself up to that experience. And then there is courage. When we are doing this work, we are genuinely coming into contact with someone else's demons. We are fighting off the dragons, if you will. And I say we hallucinate on command, but truly it's so that we can see what's there outside of ordinary consciousness that you can't see with your eyes normally. And it's very real, and so is the danger. So you have to want to do this work, and you have to be courageous enough to face down someone else's hurt and to face down the things that are haunting and harassing someone on a spiritual level. It's not easy. But that's it for today. Thanks for stopping in. Tune in tomorrow, and I'm going to get into what I like to refer to as universal truths. Take care. Hail and welcome. Kane Dreamwalker here, and today we're going to get into universal truths. So these are core concepts that I have found to be pretty consistent amongst most, if not all, spiritual cultures all across the world, especially even ones that have never come into contact with each other. The first of those are spirit exists and we can interact with it, right? Spirituality, paths of spirituality require us to acknowledge spirit and that they're precious and important and we can experience them. The second truth is that spirits can become sick and they can be healed, which is very important. That work is so important. Whether you call yourself a spirit worker or you're a witch or a light healer or what have you, more and more and more healing work needs to be available for spirit. Back in the day, ancient cultures, the disparity between spirit worker and the number of people that had to be served by that person is very different compared to what it is now, where it's not just one spirit worker in a village of 30 people, 50 people. It's billions of people are on this planet, and there aren't very many of us in comparison. So more people need to step up to do this work. Hopefully you'll be one of them. And then the third truth is that spirits are smart and we can learn from them, right? One of our jobs, as I've mentioned, is to be an ambassador, to connect people and spirits so that we can learn from them. They have great, great knowledge, whether it's your ancestors or guides and guardians or deities, or even just listening to your own internal wisdom. So important and valuable in order to be able to help you move along your path and find the answers that are necessary to heal and grow. And that's it for today. So thanks for popping in. And the next one of these that we're going to do is going to talk about spirit anatomy specifically, so we can get into some nuts and bolts. Look forward to seeing you then. Hail and welcome. Kane Dreamwalker here, and today we're going to get into a little bit of spirit anatomy. This is going to be very crash coursey. So, first of all, you are not a person. I hate to break it to you. No, really, you are an incredibly powerful and near infinite energy being that is inhabiting a flesh body right now. You're having a physical experience right now. Big difference there. So you come into the body and anchor at 7 major points, and most of us are familiar with the term chakra. That's a pretty well established word to name those points, and each of those points corresponds with or affects neighboring organ systems and such. And there's a lot about them. We're not going to get into them today. Spirit, you're very powerful, and so much so that the vibrations coming out of you, off of you, actually alter reality a little bit in layers of density that extend outward from the body, kind of like ripples in a pond. The closer you get to the body, the closer you are to the spirit. You're kind of at that ground zero, if you will, and it's really dense energy. And you can sense it very easily by using a tuning fork, and you get it buzzing. And as you get close to the body, within about 4 or 5 inches, you'll notice that there's some resistance there. You may even hear the tune change on the fork, and that means that you're at that like first outer layer of energy. We call those layers shells, and they are there to sort of collect and accumulate the human aspect. And what I mean by that is things like ego and even traumas and stuff like that are often sort of stored in those layers. It's almost like a little filing system. And there's even a whole modality around working specifically with those layers to clean them up and heal the body. Once you pass, the soul is meant to just kind of zip on back to where it came from, and those shells are supposed to just kind of fizzle away, but sometimes they don't. And we're going to talk about why and what that means and what that can cause very soon. Thanks for stopping in, though. Take care. Hail and welcome. Kane Dreamwalker here, and today I'm going to get into a little bit more detailed explanation about shells. So, as I mentioned last time, when you pass, your spirit is supposed to zip on home and leave behind these shells that are just kind of supposed to into the ether. Sometimes they don't. Why not? Nowadays, it's more common because there's a lot of electromagnetic energy in the air, and the shells that were once being sustained by that super powerful soul use that energy instead to stick around. Most people pass in or around a hospital nowadays, and there's a lot of beeping and booping going on. And then also sometimes people pass surrounded by loved ones, and it's a very emotionally charged situation, and that is enough to sustain bits, pieces, or chunks of shells to allow them to stick around and be a problem. Why are they a problem? Well, again, because they house traumas and ego. So when they attach to somebody or kind of glom onto somebody, then they drive spirit illness, and that's a problem. Most of the time, they fizzle to just little bits and pieces, and they're almost like spirit germs. And we have a spirit immune system even that I'll talk about at some point that can kind of like hold a lot of that off, but sometimes it fails, and then we end up sick. And then other times, if there's enough energy in the air, then whole layers of shells will stick behind and cause real problems. And they can even be mistaken for an entire spirit on occasion. So it's important to understand the difference between a shell and a spirit and how to recognize the two. And that's going to be it for shells today. Next time, I'm going to get more into the illnesses that they can cause. So thanks for popping in. Bye. Hail and welcome. Kane Dreamwalker here, and today we're going to get into spirit healing. There are 3 basic ways that spirit work is done. First of those ways is infusion. It's where we take energy from outside and we bring it in, okay? Now that energy may come from above, it may come from below, it may come from all over the place, different sources like crystals or deities or spirits or what have you. But that's the basic premise. Then we've got soul retrieval. Anytime that we've been traumatized in some way, some of our essence, some of our spirit can get sort of broken off or lost by the situation. So what we have to do is we have to go and seek that out, and we have to coax it back home and very gently put it back where it belongs. And that's a really simplified version of that ritual. Then there is extraction, and that is when the healer, spirit worker, what have you, scans you, scans your spirit, figures out what belongs, what doesn't belong, and then takes the things that are no longer useful, the things that are harming you, and they pull those out and rip them apart, burn them, whatever you got to do, and make sure that they can't come back. And that's the basic gist of what is spirit work and what do we do. Thank you so much for being a part of this series, and follow me, because next we're going to get into talking about spirits, actual spirits, what kind are out there, how we can interact with them. Hope to see you again. Take care.